$10 and only at your Pizza Hut.
First Alert Weather at 10 with Idaho's Chief Meteorologist, Rick Lance. From Idaho's News Channel 7, where the news comes first, this is Sunday Sports Extra.
It's coming. Hi again, everybody, and welcome to this special edition of Sunday Sports Extra. He's Ryan Larondo. I'm Zach Wolkin. Tom Scott will be joining us in just a bit.
That's right. The fourth BCS standings of the 2010 season are out, and the Broncos holding steady, but still losing some ground.
Yeah, that's right, Ryan. Boise State remains number 4, but the distance between 3 and 4 is growing. TCU, that number 3 team, was around 0.891 last week. BSU, it was at 0.881-ish. Oregon and Auburn still, you know, that 1-2 punch. My goodness, it's getting freaky with TCU moving away from those Broncos, who actually were jumped also in the coaches poll. They are 4th. Wisconsin moving into that 5th spot. The Horned Frogs, that 47-7 win over then 5th-ranked Utah on yesterday was just unbelievable. Right. And yeah, what about that Harris poll?
Yeah, the Harris poll, same story. Not really good news for the Broncos. There is some good news though. Check it out. Virginia Tech and Nevada are finally making some headway in those polls. You know, it's about time they start pulling their weight, right? About time.
Tom Scott joining us now to talk a little bit more about the BCS. And Tom, Boise State, TCU, the gap widening obviously a lot this week, but not really a big surprise.
No, they gave TCU a lot of credit for beating a top 10 Utah team, but beating them 47-7. A lot of people saying, well, Utah was overrated, but it was a very quality win by the Horned Frogs. And just watching the highlights, you could see that they had an edge to them and they came to play. What's amazing in the polls is that Auburn jumped Boise State, which, you know, probably isn't a surprise, but why this week? Why is the timing of some of this stuff happening? TCU beating UNLV last week and then jumping Boise State. Auburn beating Chattanooga this week and then jumping Boise State after the Broncos put on one of the best defensive performances ever against Hawaii.
Yeah, of course, you're talking about them jumping them in the AP poll where the Broncos were
right in the AP poll.
Yeah. Now, Tom, the Broncos also slipping in the AP and the coaches. Was the AP poll? Yeah, the Broncos were slipping in. What does that mean to you? Does that mean that the voters actually think the Broncos are getting worse? Or what does that mean to you?
I think, well, you and I talked off camera about that the computers are starting to affect the voters. Yeah. And the computers are starting to have some effect on the voters, despite what's going into the computers. But TCU is in position now to play in the national championship game, and a lot of people are believing that. And what's amazing was that on the ESPN bowl projections, Boise State is left off altogether, which is a possibility, that Boise State could not only do the Broncos lose their shot at the Rose Bowl, they lose their shot at a BCS Bowl for doing nothing wrong. We've said this for weeks.
We can take a look at their predictions right here. As you see, obviously, as the standings are now, this is ESPN's projections with Wisconsin and TCU in the Rose Bowl. TCU getting in there on a basis of Oregon going to the national championship, and the Rose Bowl's deal that they have to take the top non-AQ team if a Pac-10 or a Big Ten team are in the national championship. You have an unranked Pittsburgh team in the Fiesta Bowl on a basis of the Big East just gets a BCS berth because they're an automatic qualifying conference. Virginia Tech, who they're predicting will win the ACC, a team that Boise State beat, is going to be in the Orange Bowl against Oklahoma State, who would be getting possibly an at-large bid. LSU and Ohio State getting an at-large bid as well. Ohio State was a team that outdueled Boise State back in 2008 when Boise State was ranked ahead of them in the BCS, and Ohio State got the bid over them. So that's kind of interesting that Boise State could be, again, after 3 consecutive unbeaten regular seasons, is still left out. Where does the performance come into this?
If Boise State wins out, they'll have, what, 26 straight victories. 26 straight victories if they win out. And so a team with 26 straight victories coming off a BCS Bowl win, who started the BCS rankings as the number 3 team in the country, would be left out of the BCS Bowls. I think there would be, even though there's some anti-Boise State sentiment out there, there would have to be, on the other side, from the Kirk Herbstreits of the world, some real outcry over how the system works.
Yeah, and you talk about what Kirk Herbstreit has to say. You know, Robert Smith always seems to have an interesting take on things, and here's what he had to say about BSU and the Fiesta Bowl and their defense this year, which was very interesting.
If you go back to that Fiesta Bowl game between TCU and Boise State, TCU, to me, looks like they choked in that ball game. -2 in the turnover ratio in that game. I don't think that they showed up the way that we would have expected them or the way I would have expected them. The thing for me, when I look at these teams, I see TCU being a more balanced team. I look at Boise State. I had the opportunity to call the game against Louisiana Tech a couple weeks ago. I think this team can be had, especially with their run defense. They struggled, ironically enough, against Lennon Creer, who was a transfer from Tennessee in that ball game, slowing him down, and I think they're going to continue to struggle. I think that Nevada game is going to be very interesting.
So, Robert Smith, always with something interesting to say. I don't know what's ironic about anything with that, but Boise State's rush defense, I think he's got them a little confused with somebody else.
Well, yeah, Boise State #2 in the country in rush defense, and the game that he saw, Lennon Creer made a big point about Lennon Creer from Louisiana Tech. Well, he's a former SEC running back. You know what he was saying there. But the TCU thing, about TCU choking in the Fiesta Bowl, did he not kind of read about that game and how that whole thing developed and how Boise State changed its whole defense for that game to shut down TCU's offense and did it and left Andy Dalton as a deer in headlights? Did he not? Well, I don't know.
He may have missed it. It wasn't that big of a game, right?
No.
Anyways, Tom Scott, as always, appreciated. We will be right back.
I served in the Navy for almost 21 years. We were sent to assist in the recovery effort for Hurricane Katrina.
Spent a year in China, a year in France.
I felt I grew a lot, gained a lot.
I always made it a point at my house to make my children understand why we were getting the day off.
It's something that is a necessity.
It isn't just, you know, a day off from school. There's a reason behind it.
The message is never forget, both people who are here today and those who are not.
Bronco football is rolling. Fans bring that power of the blue to the bell. The time is now for basketball season tickets. Why? New coach, new energy. BAA members, your football membership carries over to the best basketball seats. And new this year is the No Ticket Goes Unused program. If you can't attend a certain game, turn those tickets in to use later in the season. Call 426-4737 and let us show you to your seats.
Oh, is this him? Look, go ahead and fall in love, but let's be smart about this. Take your time and really make sure it's the right one. Check out zidaho.com. It's the local cleaner classifieds with a variety of pets in all shapes and sizes. Trust me, you'll find the right one. zidaho.com, the smart way to find a pet you'll love. zidaho.com, the local cleaner classifieds.
Our very best offer, interest-free financing till 2014 and a discount equal to sales tax. Big savings store-wide this Veterans Day weekend with no down payment and no interest when you take until 2014 to pay and an instant discount equal to the sales tax. Plus, have it now. Living rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms with same-day delivery. It's our very best offer this Veterans Day weekend only at More Furniture for Less.
Welcome back to this post-NFL edition of Sunday Sports Extra. Time now to take a look around the NFL to see some players with Idaho's tie figured today. Former Idaho State Bengal Jared Allen, the Vikings, hosting former Vandal Max Komar and the Cardinals. No catches for Komar. Allen had 4 tackles, but Favre 2 scores, including one right here. And then in overtime, Ryan Longwell hits the 35-yarder. Vikings 3-5.
Not bad, right? Former Bronco Legadou Nane in San Diego visiting the Houston Texans. No catches for Nane. Seyi Tutu.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good. Fresno State guy. Yeah, he had 5 for 111 yards. And this score, the Bolts get a big road win at Houston, 29-23 over the Texans.
Former BSU stud Chris Carr and the Ravens hosting the Dolphins. Carr had 5 tackles. Baltimore allows just 10 points while the Ravens offense lit up the previously road-dominating Dolphins. Baltimore wins 26-10.
Fruitland native Jordan Gross and the Panthers taking on the defending Super Bowl champion Saints. The Panthers struggle, continue. Drew Brees threw 2 touchdown passes. The Saints march all over Carolina, 34-3.
How about that? Former BSU corner Kyle Wilson and the New York Jets at Detroit. Wilson didn't record any stats, but Nick Folk surely did, and very important ones. A 36-yarder to force overtime, and then in OT nails the 30-yarder to win it. Jets are 6-2, 23-20.
Former Idaho head coach Tom Cable and the Raiders hosting the Chiefs. Oakland opened the second half of the bang. Jacoby Ford with the 94-yard. Wow, he is fast. Kickoff return. Get the Raiders on the board, but this one needed overtime. Sebastian Ganikowski is good. Raiders win. They're 5-4 on the season.
Former Bronco Quentin Michael, Mike Vick and the Eagles taking on Indianapolis. 8 tackles for Michael. Vick threw for a score and ran for another as the Eagles edge the Colts 26-24.
Finally, former Broncos Darren College and Corey Hall of the Packers taking on Orlando Scandrick and the Cowboys. This one just getting over. America's team had a lot of problems tonight. Brandon Jackson was one of them. He had 2 scores in the first quarter. The Pack had 28 points with 2 minutes to go in the first, actually. They cruise on to win 45-7 your final in that one.
All right, lots more to come here. We'll be talking rivalry coming up next.
Looking at the trees, we know it's fall, but it is time to start thinking about winter weather driving.
Idahoans go everywhere in all kinds of weather. Make sure you're prepared. Sunday on the news at 10.
We'll go over the basics of what you need in your car and what to do if you get stuck.
Whether you're new to winter driving or an old pro, now's the time to make sure you're ready. It's Rick's annual winter safety check. News at 10 tonight on Idaho's News Channel 7.
Are you paying too much for TV? Think about how much you're paying per year. Now, you do know you can get free TV, right? 24 free local channels. All you need is an antenna. And because the signal comes directly from the TV station's transmitter, it's the cleanest, clearest digital picture. So quit paying for TV. Call Wire Guys and get the antenna and installation for $149.95. Get all your free local channels without a monthly bill. Call Wire Guys to find out how. Wire Guys, 887-2288.
Celebrate the Gem State's unique and diverse animal population with the distinctive wildlife specialty plate. When you answer the call of the wild, you're supporting the 523 species of non-game wildlife that are managed by the Idaho Department of Fish and Game. From habitat restoration and wildlife projects to classroom education and publications, your purchase will give back to these unique creatures that call Idaho home. To purchase or renew your wildlife license plate, visit your local Department of Motor Vehicles or County Assessor's Office.
We vote to make our mark, to shape the future we want to live in. News Channel 7 salutes every Idahoan who took the time to listen, to debate, discuss, think critically, and vote. On air, online, our job was clear: to fully inform your vote as you shape Idaho's future.
All right, it's every week on Friday. Boise State meeting at Idaho for what could be the final time for a while. The two will be together coming up tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. Carol and Holly will kick off all of our coverage live from Moscow, so be sure to tune in for that. Of course, Coach Pete will be having his press conference tomorrow morning at 11:35. We'll be showing that live at KTVB.com, 11:35 tomorrow morning. Hey, but also some interesting stuff happening today in the NFL.
Yeah, check it out. You know, these NFL players, they're versatile, especially Wes Welker of the Patriots, kicking an extra point after the kicker was injured. Apparently, they don't keep more than one kicker on the roster. Yeah. Welker had to kick the extra point.
And then in the Lions game, Ndamukong Suh, first-round draft pick.
Defensive lineman.
Yeah, not really as good a kick as Welker. He misses it, just stoinks it off to the left. A very interesting day. The Lions would actually go on to lose that game to the Jets. Another great day, obviously, for the NFL, but that was some interesting plays. But, you know, very exciting week. The final rivalry game as far as the schedule is concerned. This is just a great week for Idaho and football fans.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everybody's talking about it already. You hear about it in the streets. They're excited. I'm excited. I'm heading up to the game on Wednesday, for the game on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing some live broadcasts from Moscow and joining Carolyn. So
yeah, it'll be real interesting. The University of Idaho certainly struggled over the weekend against Nevada. Their defense now ranks 100th? 100th, between 90 and 100 in the nation now after giving up 844 yards to the Wolfpack, who could be dangerous. You see them, they're ranked you know, they're going to help out Boise State in the BCS. We'll have all of your coverage. We'll be at the center of all right here at KTVB and, of course, at KTVB.com. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to have much more on the BCS, as well as we're going to hear from the Broncos and maybe take a look around and see what some other people have been saying as far as projections are concerned involving the Broncos and the BCS. But the news at 10 is going to get started in just about 2 minutes. Thanks again so much for joining us. We'll see you in a few.
Round up the kids for KTVB Family Day at the all-new Edwards Cinema in the Nampa Gateway Center Wednesday, November 10th. Tickets, popcorn, and soft drinks are only $2 each as we celebrate the grand opening of Edwards Nampa Gateway. Family-friendly films will play on all 12 screens all day long. In addition, all the money raised will go to the Lighthouse Rescue Mission in Nampa aiding the homeless. So get to your showing early and get a good seat for the special KTVB Family Day at Nampa Stadium 12, Wednesday, November 10th.
Now in the Prize Center at KTVB.com. Saturday, November 20th at the Nampa Civic Center. Win tickets to see the Fabulous Chancers in concert. It's the Living on Rock and Roll World Tour 2010. Go to the Prize Center at KTVB.com for your chance to win.
When you want the big picture, you want Idaho's News Channel 7, KTVB, across town.
Breaking news coming out of the Boise foothills. We're working together. More information. Heard that game day is coming to the Blue Turf.
Or across the nation.
You realize the decisions that are made back there, how they affect every Idahoan watching.
We go where the story goes. The heart of Idaho beats here. Idaho's News is on KTVB, Idaho's News Channel 7.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lori Ann Crook.
And I'm Charlie Chase, and our show, Crook and Chase, is your home for country music.
Each week, our television cameras take you to the stars. You get to see what it's like backstage, on stage, and enjoy the biggest party.
Like, this is really working.
Country music is America's most popular music, and we bring the best to you.
The Crook and Chase Show, each week, right here.
Crook and Chase, Sunday afternoon at 4 on 24/7.
He's not your ordinary student athlete.
For all the guys to accept him for who he is, it's awesome.
He gives it his all, and the school that gave him their unconditional love.
It's a reminder of what coaching's all about.
A Sevens hero that will capture your heart. News at 10 tonight. Number 1 in Idaho. This is KTVB, Idaho's News Channel 7. The news at 10 starts now.
Targeting grocery stores, not shoppers, but a thief who hit 2 different Boise businesses today. Some might say the Boise State Broncos were robbed over the weekend. Another win, but another slide in the polls. And the calendar says November. Today, it felt more like it, as fall made a comeback. Welcome to the Sunday Night News at 10, and we begin with your weather, the rain and chilly temperatures. And let's go to the Weather Center. Rick, you told us all last week things were going to change today, and you nailed it.
Boy, it really did. The storm came through this morning. We had about 1/4 of an inch of rain. We got more rain that's coming down right now. Here's live Storm Tracker 7000. The bright areas through here is a mixture of rain or snow. This is heavier rain here in the yellow. The green, of course, rain showers. Most of this east of Mountain Home showing us that it's out of our picture at this particular time. But, you know, earlier this evening, here's all the rain that came in. It was heavy throughout the Boise area. I'll show you this loop one more time, starting at 4 o'clock. And then when you get to about 6 o'clock this evening, it came through and it was coming down around the city of Boise. 1/2 inch of rain for Boise, 1/4 of an inch for Ontario, over 1/2 inch for Caldwell. Not a lot in Twin Falls yet, but just to let you know that it is heading your way. Now, talk about big changes. You know, we mentioned this last week. We had those beautiful temperatures in the 60s, which I missed, by the way. But you can see Thursday had 65, Friday 63, yesterday was 70. Today's high for this afternoon, we only had 54 degrees, and tomorrow the temperature is going to be in the upper 40s. We're heading toward winter. I'm going to have a report coming up talking about preparing yourself for winter snow and how you can travel in it.
Earlier today, 2 Boise grocery stores robbed. Police believe the same man is responsible for both of those crimes and still on the loose. The first occurred at an Albertsons at Eagle and McMillan. The second, about a half hour later at Fred Meyer near Franklin and Orchard. That's about 10 miles away, and that is where we find our Nishi Gupta. She joins us live tonight. Nishi?
Well, Mark, according to witnesses, a man walked right up to the customer service counters at both locations and walked away with an unknown amount of money. Now police are asking for the public's help in finding that suspect. Sunday morning around 11:30, police get a call about a robbery at the Albertsons on Eagle and McMillan. Witnesses report a man walked up to employees, demanded money, got it, then left on foot. He threatened violence, but had no weapon. Then just before noon, again, police get a call, this time from the Fred Meyer on Franklin. A suspect approaches employees and leaves after he gets cash. No one was hurt in either incident. Police say they responded quickly both times and searched for the suspect, but had no luck tracking him down. Now they need your help. The suspect is light-skinned and believed to be in his late 20s. He's 5'10" with dark hair, a dark beard, and a tattoo on his neck. He was wearing khaki pants, a gray hoodie with the hood pulled over his head, and a beanie underneath. And police have not provided any surveillance video or photos of the suspect, but as soon as they make that available to us, we will get that on air. In the meantime, if you have any information that can help police, Mark, they ask you to give them a call.
All right, Nishi, thank you. Meantime, police in Garden City are looking for two people who broke into a home, beat up a man, and stole some things. Investigators are not releasing many details at this time, but they say the robbery happened here in a mobile home park near Adams and East 48th Streets. The victim inside the home refused medical attention. Here's a description of the two suspects, said to be in their early 20s. One is 5'10", the other 5'6". One was wearing a black hoodie, the other suspect a green V-neck shirt. Number to call for information, 343-COPS. Well, it continues to be the hottest topic in college football. Boise State's dominance on the field and then lack of respect the next day in the polls. That was the case again today. The latest BCS poll is out, and the Broncos lost some ground despite that blowout win over Hawaii yesterday on the Blue. Here's Ryan to break it down.
Yeah, that's right, Mark. The latest BCS poll came out tonight, and still BSU is fourth in it. But you have to look a little bit deeper as to why the Broncos are fourth, and that's the more discouraging part. Take a look at the numbers right there. The Broncos losing points in their average score this week at .866. They were at .882 last week, so that is definitely not good for the Broncos. The Horned Frogs, on the other hand, jumping up quite a bit. Look at that, 926 this week. They were 891 last week. So the gap between TCU and Boise State is definitely widening. Now coming up in sports, Mark will take a look at the latest of the bowl projected games. Not looking for the pretty for the Broncos there either, Mark.
No, it's not. Bronco Nation is getting a dose of cold reality that there is a distinct possibility the team could finish unbeaten and still not get a BCS bowl bid. So the question, do you like the BCS system? It has worked for the Broncos in the past, getting them to 2 BCS bowl games in the last 5 years, but that same system could also keep them out of a 3rd BCS bowl this year, despite being ranked in the top 5 all season long. Earlier today, we spoke with a BCS insider about the system. Kenneth Massey developed the Massey rating, which is one of the elements used in the computerized BCS score. Massey says the formula is fair and objective, but he says he would like to see changes made to how regular season games are scheduled.
Right now, it's up to the conferences and the teams to set their own schedules, and so it's harder for the smaller schools to get home and homes with some of the bigger schools and get the opportunity to move up.
We asked Massey about Boise State's current situation. His response, for Boise State fans not to take it personally, just be proud of the accomplishments. Next up for the Broncos, a big game with major significance, not because of what it could do for Boise State's postseason chances. The Broncos take on the U of I in what could possibly be their last game ever against each other in this long standing rivalry. We, of course, are getting you ready for that with coverage. An event of this magnitude dictates. Our crew in Moscow sent back these pictures tonight of the Kibbe Dome. All week long on the News at 10, Carolyn is going to bring us live reports from the U of I, all leading up to Friday night's game. Kickoff 7 o'clock on ESPN2. Our 2-hour special starts at 5 right here on Idaho's News Channel 7. A high school football player got our attention this week big time, not necessarily what he did on the field.
He's got the biggest heart. He teaches our athletes that it's bigger than just the sport. There's a human side of things.
Lee Moore is a senior at Nampa's Columbia High, and even with special needs, he is making the most of this experience. He's known by his teammates and his fans as Lee Machine.
Free. I don't have to be embarrassed.